And hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of A Druids Dozen. Yes, it's episode 53. My name's John, known in certain circles as the Rock Druid. And I'm a radio DJ. I've got a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol. And then there's the Rock Druid on astroradio.earth, a international-based music and astronomy station. And yeah, these are just me raiding my considerable record collection, waving a few elements thereabouts in front of you and chatting about them for a few minutes. And before I start, a couple of announcements. Yeah, I've hit 500 subscribers. Wow, it's taken me a long time to get here, but yeah, it's a little bit of a milestone. And you know, these two, as you can see, have kind of accused me of buying subscribers, and yeah, ever since they started watching those David Icke videos, they've been a little bit, yeah, tinfoil hatters. But he's just called me a shill. Never mind. I'm a shill for the rock and roll machine, am I? Oh well, never mind. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to tie these two up and give them a diet of Conspiracy Cats videos over the next week, so they should be okay by then. Anyway, shall I put my specs on and dive straight in before the Illuminati get me? I think I should. Okay, going to kick off with a compilation album. This is Sladest by Slade from, I think it's 73, I think. I'll have a look properly in a minute. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. This is a gatefold. Opens up like this. And you have Noddy. Leah's Dave. Jim. And Don. And then this has come loose. It's been loose ever since I've had it, to be honest with you. But you got the booklet kind of thing on the inner gatefold. Lots and lots of sleeve notes. Quite interesting in-depth sleeve notes as well. For a pop compilation from the early 70s, that's pretty good. And I'll whip this out. 73 this was published as a compilation, as you can see. Standard Polydor records, got most of Slade stuff on. Now this is a, well, I said it's a compilation. I think this is the first Slade compilation album that came out back in 73, when Slade were at their height, when everything they released on 7-inch or 12-inch went straight to #1. And what this basically is a collection of Slade singles from when Chas Chandler took over as their manager in 1960 and got them signed to Polydor, through to yeah, early 73. And yes, it contains all the big early Slade hits on here. There's 'Cause I Love You, Take Me Back Home, Mama We're All Crazy Now, Goodbye to Jane, Look at Last Night, Come On Feel the Noise, Squeeze Me Please Me. You know, all massive UK hits. But the interesting thing about this is the first side, because most of those songs are on the second side. The first side is the early singles that came out that didn't chart. Tracks like Wild Winds Are Blowing, Shapes of Things to Come, Know Who You Are, Pook Hill, One Way, One Hotel, and then the minor hit they had, Get Down and Get With It. Makes for an interesting little package, and actually shows how, you know, the development of Slade, the Noddy Holder, Jim Lee songwriting hit machine, as it developed. Some of those early singles are crackers. There's Pook Hill, which is a song about a Wolverhampton beauty spot and a touch of frostbite the band had. Cracking little kind of retrospective, not introspective little number. One Way Hotel, about being in a struggling band, because, you know, Slade worked their guts off to get their success. They weren't one of these record company overnight finds. These guys, before the big hit started coming in '72, had spent, well, 3 years as Ambrose Slade doing the kind of skinhead rock and roll stuff, then develops onto the early days and a couple of albums and big string of singles, where they were running up and down the country, you know, packing all the band into one hotel room and sleeping in the van, etc., before they got their success. One Way Hotel, written in a hotel, with all of them sitting around the room where they couldn't sleep because they were snoring and keeping each other awake. Kind of explores that period quite interestingly. Overall, it's a really strong compilation album. I don't think there's anything on here that's not available on studio albums. I may be wrong, because I have a very few gaps in my Slade collection, and most of those were in the very early days. But yeah, some of the earliest albums and singles I have missing, but I have everything from about '72 onwards. But anyway, yeah, great compilation album. I played this for the first time in a good few years the other day, checking it out, getting ready for this presentation, and thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah, a good sort of like doorway into Slade. This is available on CD and digital as download. So if you want to kind of snap up early Slade singles in one big gulp, this is a pretty good way of doing it. Yeah, Slaydest by Slade, 1973. Okay, moving on to our first CD of the day. Now, the couple of people that have been badgering me for sort of like some gothic and industrial stuff, here's some gothic and industrial stuff for you. There's the front. This is Refuge by a band called the Rabid from 2012. There's the front. There's the back. Pop this open. I'll show you that in a minute. Nothing of interest behind the disc, but there is the disc. Pop this booklet out if I can. There's the booklet. It's mainly kind of it's a big credits and thank list, really. Yeah, no lyrics or anything, just credits and thanks. And that back in there. Also came with it is this. This is your press release. There we go. So I've got sidetracked reading it. There's the press release, band pictures, details. Now this lot are from Saskatchewan in Canada, and they kind of play kind of gothic tinged industrial metal. There's hints of Rammstein in here. big doses of actually of Nova Deutsche Harter. But there's also hints of kind of maybe some of the Canadian death rock and goth stuff, bands like Birthday Massacre and what do you call it, New Jacobin Club, etc. So yeah, very, very good, very, very dark, but yeah, metally enough and industrial enough for kind of non-goths. It's a pretty sweet album. 10 tracker, came out, say, 2012. Highlights on this for me are probably, let's have a New System and Stargazer, but the band are quite competent overall. There's a talented lady keyboard player that gives them a kind of very, very dark kind of synth wash. There's quite an intense vocal performance from get the guy's name. Let's have a look. What's his name again? Yeah, Andreas Weiss. Yeah, overall, they're a damn fine band. Whatever happened to these guys after this, I do not know. This is the only thing I possessed by them. And I can't really find much other information after this album on the net. If I'm wrong and the band is still together, or just let me know in the comments down there, over there, if you know any different than what this lot developed into. But overall, the Rabid Hole Refuge 2012. This is your weekly fix of industrial gothic stuff. Good stuff. Okay, next up we'll have an album that's one of my favourites. Now my missus hates the cover on this, and I'm not that impressed by the cover, but what lays within is a gem. This is Vertical Smiles by Blackfoot, 1984, sorry. There's the front. There is the back. Whip this out. You've got just credits and recording info on that side. That side is lyrics. Yeah, Blackfoot's Vertical Smiles. Now Blackfoot, probably best known as one of those big kind of multi-guitar lineup southern boogie bands. Did a load of classic albums like Strikes and Wildcatting and all that lot. Still doing it today. Main man Richie Medlock also plays with Lynyrd Skynyrd, but when he's not out with Lynyrd Skynyrd these days, plays with Blackfoot. But like many bands in the 1980s, you know, it's the MTV era, commercialism's calling. Blackfoot, just like some of those other bands, they got a bit commercial. However, Blackfoot at this point had recruited one Ken Hennersley, former Uriah Heep keyboard player, and whether it's the Ken Hennersley influence or whether it was just them kind of knowing exactly where to draw the line, Blackfoot, although this is by far the most commercial album Blackfoot did, the previous one, Soigo, is a bit of a heavy rocker, sort of hints of metal in it, whereas this is pure commercial rock. However, they managed to keep it intense, interesting, slick, well played, and commercial enough to probably satisfy the MTV heads, but keeping it real enough so it doesn't sound like a complete overproduced washout like a lot of bands did back then. Opens up with a cover of Morning Dew. I think a Tim Allen song. Can't remember who did the original now, top of my head. See if I can see the composer credits. Tim Rose, sorry. Old English songwriter. song called Morning Dew, song about post-apocalyptic desolation. Originally folk rock, made famous of course by the Grateful Dead. Speaking of which, on Sunday's BCFM show I've got a live Grateful Dead set to play you, but that's a different story. And but my favourite version is on here. I've got several versions of Morning Dew. Blackfoot do it superbly. Other highlights on here, Legend That Never Dies, Young Girls, In For The Kill, Living in the Limelight, Ride With You. Yes, it's commercial, but it's still bloody great. This is the only album Blackfoot ever did like this. I covered the follow-ups of this, Medicine Man, on a couple of editions ago of this show, when they were heading firmly back into Southern Boogie territory, where they've been ever since. But as an outlier album in the Blackfoot canon, this one is pretty damn good and worth checking out. Yeah, 1984, Vertical Smiles by Blackfoot. Okay, next up, classic band. Not a classic album, but a classic band. Although this is Aerosmith, Night in the Ruts, 1979 or 80, one of the two. But you know, until fairly recently, I've never heard a really terrible Aerosmith album. And although this one, so there is the front. This is a CD remaster, of course. There's the front. There is the back. (1979). There's the disc. Pop this out. It's got one of these long... Now, I've never possessed this on vinyl, so I don't know what the vinyl sleeve was like, but I quite like this packaging here. Various members of Aerosmith dressed up as coal miners, and you know, you flip it over. There's all this kind of stuff on there. Yeah, have a pause and watch if you want. This was the last Aerosmith album before the original departure of Joe Perry. Went off for a while to do his Joe Perry project before then he rejoined them in the mid '80s. But it's not bad. Like I said, it's not a classic Aerosmith album. This isn't Draw the Line, Rocks or Dream On or anything like that. But on the other hand, you know, like I said, I've not really heard a Duff Aerosmith album until, oh, what's the kind of name of the album they did with Can't Feel a Thing, whatever it is, that crappy power ballad from Asteroid Disaster movie film. Yes, it's fiction, it's not a documentary. God. Yeah, yeah, I hadn't really heard a Nap album until that point by him. There's some weaker albums, and you know, like, yeah, Between Rock and a Hard Place isn't the strongest album, but it's not bad. This one is average. It's okay. Cuts Like Reefer-Headed Woman, they cover of the Shangri-La's Remember Walking in the Sand, is pretty effective. Bone to Bone, Coney Island, Whitefish Boy, great sort of stuff. Missing in Action, all pretty strong songs. The band are on form. Tyler's vocals are, well, Steven Tyler's vocals really comes to Remember Walking in the Sand, where it's got that no, please no section. Yeah, he kind of strangles it perfectly. Yeah, just a worthy addition to any Aerosmith collection. And if you've been collecting Aerosmith and this one's missing, you've got one missing. Yeah, I like this Aerosmith. Night in the Ruts, 1980. Okay, loads of you that are nervous disposition will probably want to skip on 5 minutes. I normally say that when I play this band on the radio, because I have had people say that when I played songs by this band, they have been freaked out slightly. It's Van Gogh Generator. This is Godbluff, 1975. Yeah. There's the rather uninspiring front cover. There's the not very inspiring back cover. And because this is a repress, all I can show you is, yeah, Korea Blue label. Now, Van Gogh Generator, well, I don't think I've touched these on the show yet, on these. One of my favourite 70s prog bands. These are to prog rock what probably the works of David Cronenberg are to mainstream cinema. These are, when it comes to prog rock, British prog from the classic period in the 70s, Van Gogh Generator are the darkest, most disturbing, most intimidating band around. These guys were gothic before gothic got invented. These guys are dark. Just the subject matters I used to deal with, just the kind of grinding Hugh Benton organ sounds, Peter Hamill's kind of slightly unreal vocals, the kind of David Jackson's flutes and saxes come in like almost like they haunt the grooves. There's a lot of good stuff in Van Gogh Generator, and you know, if I had to pick a favourite for VDGGM, it will be this one, 1975's Godbluff. Primarily for the second track on side one. There's only 4 songs on here, all of which are well over 10 minutes long. We are talking epic prog. You've got A Scorched Earth, which is again song about post-apocalyptic Holocaust kind of thing. Kind of strange kind of tale of a survivor weave through it. Just a crazy moment as his life flashed past. He knew he wasn't built to a lot, something like that anyway. But absolutely stunning track, one of the best and most blackest and disturbing pieces of prog rock you'll ever hear. I mean, these guys make Genesis sound like a schoolgirl picnic. These make Yes sound like a happy folk rock group. And it doesn't stop there. You've got tracks like The Sleepwalkers, Undercover Man, and Completionist, The Arrow. Everyone is a dark classic. Everyone is a work of genius, in my opinion. So yeah, if you want it dark, you want to be disturbed, but you want to hear some fantastic musicianship, any Van Gogh Generator album's a good place, worth a listen. But this one, in my opinion, Godbluff, maybe Pawn Hearts as well, but Godbluff is the one I will go for every time. Yeah, I shall explore more of VDG and bring it to you on future editions. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of punk with this lot. Circle of Rage and Rage in D minor. Nice picture of a TV set being hauled out of a tower block window. I live in a tower block, you know, and a good few years ago now, one of our neighbours had a domestic, and him and his missus were taking it in turns. There's the inner sleeve there, and there's the back. Yeah, him and his missus were taking turns to heave their possessions out of the 13th floor balcony. They got arrested for endangering life because it's a long way down to our car park. But anyway, there's the disc. Sorry, is there anything behind the disc? Truth shall set you free, but first it shall make you angry. Across the back there, you've got lyrics there. There's the credits. And once more, I have a bit of a press release just to wave at you. There we go. There's the press release that came with it. You can pause and read it should you require. Circle of Rage come from the English county of Kent. I say come, they maybe came, I don't know whether they're still together. No, they haven't been abducted by the alien space Jews. Good grief. Anyway, yeah, they come from the county of Kent. I haven't seen any activity on any of their social medias for a while. So whether they're still together or not, I don't know. And to be honest with you, this is the only thing I possess by them, so I don't know if there's anything else available. But basically, these guys are kind of in that kind of punk, kind of alt rock, but very, very heavy vein. If you think of bands like System of a Down, maybe some of Mastodon's more anarchic moments, Static X, those kind of bands, that's where these guys are coming from. And to be honest with you, they're damn good at it. Fronted by a bloke called Tomo on, he just says Throat, aided by guys called Vetch, Zander, Scott and Lee. These guys have laid out here a 10 tracker of pretty intense kind of heaviness. It's kind of very angry. It's Fear Does Not Exist in This Dojo, my favourite cut on here. Belting little anthem. Beyond the other ones, Beyond the Barricades, Unnatural Selection. No News is Good News. We Are Sheeps in Wolves Clothing. Just damn fine record. It's in your face, it's intense, it makes you think, it's just a work of art. Very, very highly recommended. I don't know whether it's still available. You might have to do a bit of tracking down, and please, if you know out there, let me know whatever happens to the band. Circle of Rage, Rage in D minor, from 2012 again. Great record. Okay, next up, another CD. This one's from 2010, and it's Mental Execution by Dirty Habit. There is the front. There is the back. And to be honest with you, this is an album I forgot I had until I dragged it out the racks and went, oh, I don't remember that one. Gave it a listen, and then I'm kicking myself for not listening to this for however long it is, because it's a great record. Anyway, there's the back of the booklet. Open that up. There's just the basically it's composer credits. That's it on there. There's the behind the disc, and there's the disc itself. And like the others, this has also come with a press release. There we are. Again, have a pause and have a read if you want. Yeah, now this lot, they're a three-piece kind of punk-fueled rock and roll band out of Manchester. Again, another band that I don't know whatever happened to them. They're I've got this album and not seen of anything else by them. But you know, I've got a few bands. That happens to a lot of bands. I mean, I've got an album by a band called the Scuzzes. Similar kind of lineup, similar kind of sound. One album and then vanished. But overall, again, damn fine recording. Forgotten how good these were until I heard it, until I played it again for the first time in a good few years. Much praise to Scarlet Sin, the vocalist stroke bass player on here. She has got a set of pipes on it to die for, and she can out Susie Quattro on the 4-stringer. For completeness, the band's lined up with a guy called Daniel Mux on guitar, and I don't think I had a bass player. I'm trying to think who the drummer is. Guy called Toby somebody or other on drums. Making for a very intense, very kind of quite cool punk fueled kind of, it's maybe slightly grungy as well, rock record. Let's have a look. On here I recommend the cuts Daddy's Little Girl, Verge of Insanity, Alcohol, Car Wreck. All pretty good. And then there's the closing cut, Go Hard or Go Home. Very intense piece of rock and roll that sums this band up perfectly. Like I said, again, I can't tell you much else about them. Again, social media for these guys is virtually non-existent. Information is very little and far between. So if you know whatever happened to Dirty Habit, please let me know. Collectors, this may need a bit of searching down, but worth it if you do. So yeah, 2010 Mental Execution by Dirty Habit. Again, damn fine record. Okay, next up, let's have a Guitar Hero. Here we go, Gary Moore, The Wild Frontier. From, let me have a guess, I think this is 87. I may be wrong. This doesn't want to come out of the... One of the reasons I don't tend to use... There we go. Plastic sleeves. And he was right, 1987. There is the front. Divorce the back. Got to admit, oh, Gaz is looking pretty pissed off on that photo. You know, he's not annoyed about chemtrails. Good grief. They don't exist. There's the inner sleeve. The album credits there. Now, Gary Moore, in my opinion, but I'm not knocking him for being a technically great guitarist. The guy's genius is just well known. However, you know, I am also kind of make no bones about my dislike of Gary Moore as a blues player. You know, a metal guitarist is great, blues not so much so. But he also did this album, which now I look upon this as his Celtic album, his Irish rock album. This is the one with the tracks Wild Frontier, Over the Hill, the two singles, Wild Frontier, Over the Hills and Far Away. Both lovely little bits of Irish Celtic jigginess. The spine-tingling track, The Loner, which is his instrumental tribute to Phil Lynott on here. And then the other tracks, Johnny Boy, Thunder Rising, Strangers in the Darkness, cover of the old, can't remember who did the original, but Friday on My Mind. Maybe the weakest track on the album, not really, kind of rings my bell. Neil Carter keyboards and vocals, Bob Daisley on bass, and no drummer credited. So was Gary Moore using a drum machine on here? Don't know, don't care. I'm not a drum Nazi. You know, if you need, I've used drum machines in my past in various bands and projects I've been in. If you can't find a drummer or haven't got the one that you want your special certain effects, drum machines are fine. But anyway, if you do know who plays drums on this, let me know. Or is it a drum machine? You know where the comments are? There and there. Yeah, but overall it's pretty good. Morsey, kind of, he managed to show restraint on his playing that he doesn't do with the blues. The blues he forgets and goes all metal and shreds, but on here he keeps it quite folky and jiggy. Yeah, it's still heavy as hell in places and it's still worth a good headbang, but overall it's a sweet album. Not my favourite Morsey album, I'll admit. I do like his more heavier stuff like Corridors of Power, but this is still a lot better than any of his blues era. So yeah, Gary Moore, Corridors of Power, Gary Moore, Wild Frontier, 1987. Not bad. Okay, next up, we'll have some Blood Loss. There's the front. There's the back. Actually, if it opens out like that, the full gatefold. Put that there. There's the inner gatefold with the behind the disc. Lovely piece of bleak photo photography there. I don't know where that was taken, but the photographer deserves a clap on the back for it. There's the disc. The album's called The Struggle, by the way, and it came out in 2011. Well, it's a mini album, it's a 6-tracker. If I pop this open and pull this out, here's a booklet. There are Blood Loss, looking very heavy metal. There's some lyrics. And there's some more lyrics and minimal credits. And press release again with this one. Oh, this one's Hold Tight. And there we are. I shall hold this there. If you want to pause it and read it, feel free. Yeah, now this lot, again, another band that I know, well, this lot, if I remember rightly, they were active up until a couple of years ago. Did another album as well after this, and I think there's an EP floating around. But beyond that, I couldn't tell you. But I do know these are a pretty heavy, pretty intense piece of South London metal. I'll get this out again because I want to check some facts. Yeah, taking that, these guys take their cue from No, the information I want wasn't on here. Yeah, these guys take their cue from maybe hints of bands like Five Finger Death Punch, hints of Kill Switch Engage, that kind of you know, quite intense, not quite metalcore, but still damn heavy kind of stuff. Cracking little 6-track EP, of which this Still Remains is probably my favourite cut on here, the second cut, although they're all pretty much of a muchness and of fairly high quality. Great performances all around from the band. And it's a shame. I've got lots and lots of it. Well, I've shown you a few of them today, and over the previous weeks in this show, I've got lots and lots of albums like this by bands that showed a lot of potential, but you know, never really kind of maybe lived up to what they were capable of. They were, you know, and it's a shame. But on the other hand, you know, not everyone can be rich and famous, and not everyone's a member of the Illuminati. Yeah, and not everyone can be rich and famous, and you know, some people are bound to kind of spend their careers in cult obscurity, and you know, and in bands like Bloodlost, leaving something like this behind them, you know, they've still done their bit. You know, old rockers like me and you know, sort of old metalheads are still going to find their stuff and go, actually, Bloodlost, they were pretty damn good, and they were. Well, they maybe still are if they're still together. Again, please let me know the fate of this band. But yeah, The Struggle by Bloodlost from 2011. A bit of a gem, a bit obscure, but a gem all the same. Okay, next up, a bit of a super group. Now, on one of the very early editions of this show, I showed this band's first album. As someone asked me, had I got this one, their second album, Too Late to Cry? And I said yes, but completely forgot to put it into the show until now. So this is Widowmaker, Too Late to Cry, from 1977. There's the front. There is the back. Credits and track listing, etc. Open this up. Here's the inner sleeve. Just a band pick and individual picks. I shall hold it this way while I show you this. Widowmaker were a bit of a super group, featuring up there on lead guitar Ariel Bender, ex Mott the Hoople. On drums, Paul Nicholas. I want to say Amen Corner, I may be wrong. On this is John Butler. I can't remember who he was from on vocals. But then Bob Daisley, Chicken Shack, later went on to Rainbow and Fame, and Hugh Lloyd Langton, straight out of the Leo Sayer band, although probably best known for his work with the Lloyd Langton Group and Hawkwind. Yeah, a cracking little super group. I normally tend to be a bit iffy about super groups, you know, because normally then, you know, they get these magical names come together and it rarely works. I mean, okay, you get bands like Asia and that where it does, but you know, a lot of the time doesn't. Widowmaker were a band that worked. I've got to admit that overall I think their first album, just the eponymous Widowmaker, was 1975, was slightly a stronger album, but this one's not that bad. You got cuts like this, Sign the Papers, Sky Blues, Mean What You Say, The Hustler, What a Way to Fall, the title cut, all pretty good records. And these guys had some live success in the States. Didn't sell a vast number of albums, but they were a popular live band and did spend a couple of years. I remember chatting to Langton a good few years ago, and he was telling me that Widowmaker, they survived by touring the States, and there are some video footage up on YouTube of Widowmaker performing various tracks off this and the first album over in the US. But they never really got the kind of breakthrough they deserved. They carried on into about 1978, but then Hugh Langton got the call back to Hawkwind. Bob Daisley got the call to join Rainbow, and the band fell apart. It's a shame because they left behind two pretty good albums. And I've got to admit, I do like the cover on this. I'm not a cat person, but you know, any vicious tomcat's fine by me. Yeah, Widowmaker, Too Late to Cry, 1977. Brings us on to our last CD of the day. And I feel quite sad about waving this one because this is a Newbie Spire. There's the front. I'm going to explain why that makes me sad in a minute. There's the back. Crack this open. There's the disc. And there's not even a booklet, it's just a double-sided card. Now, Anubis Spire, American prog rock band. This is their when did this album come out? 2006. 2007. This one. And this is their third album out of the, I think it was 5 they did in total. And of course, the main man was the late great Bill McKechnie, guitarist and vocalist. Sadly, one of our colleagues in the music industry, business musicians, full stop, that didn't make it through the COVID-19 crisis. You know, other deaths include a guy called Carl, who was roadie for and Stashed In, and a couple of other people that I know personally through the music industry didn't make it. You know, so yeah, well, I dragged this out to kind of give it a listen, and I thought I had to include it because this is a Newbie Spire and Bill McKechnie's finest now. Bill McKechnie was an incredibly talented guitarist, great songwriter, and a really nice bloke as well when you get to know him. I never met him in the flesh, but we've been chatting online for a good 10-15 years, and always there with a joke, always there to kind of give advice recording. You know, I know quite a lot of musicians that Bill would take his time. He was quite a busy guy, as he was a teacher and that as well, besides being a musician. He would take his time out to listen to people's mixes, and you know, you had a kind of rough work in progress, you weren't sure what to do with, send it to Bill, he'll give it a listen and come back with some good professional feedback. Yeah, but like I said, he left behind this album. This is a Children of a Foreign Faith, 2006 or 2007, sorry, and it is a classic. I'm not just saying this because in Bill's memory, this is one of the best prog rock albums of the noughties. Cuts like it's divided into 4 sections: Survival, Awakening the World, and the Truth. Shut it. And each one is then kind of subdivided into little sections within it. So 4 tracks and about 15 sub-tracks. My favourite section on here is the section The World, which has got a section goes from Adrift into a song called Tomb on a Hill, which is about suburban sprawl and the soullessness of kind of out-of-town housing estates. then it goes downhill, all your perception is wrong, and ends up with Winter's Wall, that section. But everything on here is absolutely first rate. Much praise to the other people on here. You got a guy called Dave Sweet on keyboards and theremin, Tim Crosley on bass, and Mick Aloha on drums. Plus some special guests and extra guitarists and that. But overall, this album is a gem. Whether you'll still be able to get it or not, I don't know, because Anubis Spire did all their stuff in house, and including distribution. So maybe hard to find, but we've got hiccups. But overall, if you do make the effort to track it down, it's worth the while. A work of genius from a from a great band, featuring a sad loss to the music world. But yeah, Children of the Foreign Faith, Anubis Spire, 2007. Leads us on to the final vinyl, and a bit more Judas Priest. I haven't covered this one, so I thought, why not? This is Killing Machine from 1978. If you're in the States, it was probably this album's known as Hellbent for Leather, but I'm going to call it Killing Machine because I'm in England and that's the original title. The Hellbent for Leather came because CBS Records wanted to get it into Walmart, and Walmart objected to the Killing Machine. It sounds like you know, the fact you can buy assault at the time, you could buy assault rifles in Walmart, nothing to do with it. Ban the heavy metal record that says Killing Machine on the front. So it came out as Hellbent for Leather in the States, but Killing Machine in Britain. Yeah, another bit of kind of great Judas Priestisms here. Yeah, the last studio album they did before the fantastic British deal, and the one that they were touring when they were recorded Unleashing the Studio East, I mean, it's just a great bit of Priest. I think it's the last one to feature Les Binks on drums as well. I may be wrong, but I think it is. Well, where do you start on this? Well, opening cut, opening side, delivering the goods, Rock Forever, Evening Star, Hellbent for Leather, and then the drum-led anthem, Take on the World. Their first UK hit single, Take on the World, Hellbent for Leather, another UK hit single, and their first US hit single. You know, laying out the track. Then you go into the second side. Before the Dawn, Evil Fantasies, Running Wild, Burning Up, all excellent stuff. Band on fine form. Rob Halford. The guy is a genius, and you know, I told you I read his autobiography recently, and yeah, the guy just comes over such a likeable chap. But then you got yeah, the twin guitar attacks. You got the classic lineup: Glenn Sitz and KK Downing, swapping licks, swapping riffs, dueling with each other, harmony sections. You got the ever-present Ian Hill, probably the quiet guy in Judas Priest that no one recognises, kind of, but ever-present guy holding it all together on bass. So the final appearance by Les Binks on drums before family commitments made him step down from the band, and a gem. It's one of these albums that gets overshadowed somewhat. I mean, you know, you look what comes after it, British Steel, and then Screaming for, and then, you know, then you've got another kind of point of entry. Then you've got the classic period with Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. You know, when Priest have got that many really good albums, it's unsurprising that some of them tend to get forgotten a bit, especially as time goes on, especially some of the earlier stuff. But I've been re-exploring the sort of like 70s era Judas Priest albums from my own listening pleasure, and loving every beeping minute of it. So yeah, a classic. If you're a Priest fan, it's not in your collection, Why not? If you're not a Priest fan, just want here's some Priests that you don't often hear. This one, Killer Machine, stroke Hellbent for Leather, 1978. Great stuff. Okay, so that's it for this week. I'll be back next. Yes, I will. I'm not going to be abducted and probed, but you can keep your mouth shut as well. Yeah, I'll be back next week with some more great stuff. Thanks again for the 500 subscribers. It's only a drop in the ocean and not miles away from anyone. The sort of subscriber numbers that people I watch are, but it's still a bit of a milestone. And you know, and I promise you, if I get to 1,000 at any point ever, I'll do something special. But anyway, links to the radio shows are down there. I can give you a quick heads up that on I said I've got some live at Grateful Dead on the BCFM Sunday Rock Show, and if you listen to this week's Rock Druid, obviously if you're listening to this a few weeks down the line it's gone, but the Rock Druid show for this week contains a play of Michael Moorcock's Welcome to the New World's Fair album in toto as part of a Dark Carnival special. So yeah, check them out. Like and subscribe if you know, so you know when I'm releasing more stuff. Comments and over there, always good to hear from you. If you agree with me, disagree with me, give me your own personal takes on any of the albums I've waved and the information about some of the more obscure bands, please let me know, because I'm always after more info. And yeah, so until next week, peeps, I'm out to feed these guys to conspiracy cats, and until then, loves you all. Bye.